Do you know the 3 great taboos for a corpse fisherman on the Yellow River? Taboo 1. No fishing in a thunderstorm. Taboo 2. Do not fish a Fetid One. Taboo 3. Do not fish a corpse that won't be caught after 3 tries. I will never forget that day. The 7th of February. The sky hung low and black. A storm was coming to Deadman's Bend. "You go yourself," I said. I shook my head like a rattle. I was afraid. The river twists like a gut, its channels long and winding, by the water's grim design. All the floating dead and sun-bleached bones, for 100 miles drift into one narrow bend. Year after year, the bones pile higher. The resentment grows heavier, until it's called simply Deadman's Bend. It's a place every corpse fisherman avoids, no matter your skill. 9 times out of 10, you're lost to those bone-white waves. Enough nonsense. You think you have a choice? Elderman Mosswood's slap made stars burst in my vision. I understood the situation then. The villagers worshipped the sacred Lord. The Elderman was his voice. His word was divine will. Every soul in the village, down to the dogs, obeyed him. Did I dare refuse? I could only brave the gale and steer my goatskin raft into the churning torrent. When we reached Deadman's Bend, I understood why the Elderman, who usually scorned me, had insisted I come on this grim errand. "You never said it was the Maiden's body." The Maiden, Willow, was my father's ward. We had grown up together. 3 years ago, Willow was chosen as tribute for the sacred Lord, drowned alive in the river. A wretched death. The waves churned with bones and lumps of flesh. The Maiden's face was bone-white, staring at the raft. And on the wind, I heard a thin, ghastly laughter. The red fishing cord in my hand was cold as ice. Seeing me cower on the raft, the Elderman struck me again. "I am here to help the Maiden deliver the river-born child, so it may succeed me as Elderman," he said. He snatched the red cord from my hands. "Look at you, trembling. See a ghost? Can the dead bear children?" The Maiden's corpse, 3 years in the water, was yet uncorrupted, and now it was sinking slowly, transforming into a Fetid One. Only a stark white head remained floating. By ancestral law, a Fetid One is not to be fished, but the Elderman would not be stopped. "Heave, wah, ho, toddy." He hauled the near transformed Fetid One toward the bank. But 3 times he tried, and 3 times he failed. Once the rope slipped. Once the waves tore the corpse from his grasp. After the 3rd, the Elderman was spent. Fetid One, do not fish. 3 attempts, do not fish. "Elderman," I pleaded, "the old laws cannot be broken." "No law is greater than my word," he shouted. Gritting his teeth, he prepared for a 4th attempt. And then, the thunder rolled, and the deluge fell. The Elderman had broken all 3 iron taboos, trying to act as midwife to the dead. A wave crashed over us, and the Maiden pulled him from the raft. Bones churned in the water. Thunder split the sky. I reached for him, but it was too late. As the waves were about to swallow him, he drew a keen-edged knife from his coat. With a wet tear, he slit the girl's belly open. A loud infant's cry pierced the storm. The Elderman threw the river-born child onto the bank, and was himself forever lost to the torrent. That is what happened that day. Trembling, I swore before the idol of the sacred Lord. The Elderman's death was not my doing. Kneeling before the sacred statue, the river-born child in my arms, my words were earnest. Only the Elderman and I went to fish that day. The Elderman is dead. The truth is a mystery now. And when no one could prove my story false, nor could I prove it true. Just as the villagers wavered, unsure whether to believe this tale, Everard kicked me savagely to the ground. He was the Elderman's son. Had things gone as planned, he would be Elderman now. "Fairy tales, do you take us for fools?" Everard raised his arm. "Man, burn the lame Wen and that bastard child. Avenge my father." He had quietly nurtured many loyalists over the years. "The old Elderman shall not die in vain. Burn them, Brother Everard, as the Elderman's sworn son. That girl is the rightful heir." Lame Wen schemes in the shadows. "Good people, do not listen to his lies. Pa!" Using some dubious infant to claim the Elderman's seat? Dream him on. The temple crowd seethed. Fuck. A stone struck my forehead. Thick blood trickled past the corner of my eye. The crowd became a red, bestial thing. Everard's men vied for his favor, drenching me and the river-born child in lamp oil. Just as the torch was about to meet us, lightning fractured the sky. Heaven sent a downpour. This is the Sacred Lord's will. I struggled on the straw, crying out. The river-born child is the Sacred Lord's chosen successor. You must not burn her. Fearful the villagers might heed me, Everard moved to strike first. He took up a sickle, intending to hack me to death. In the sheeting rain, my life hung by a thread once more. As the sickle began its descent, the river-born child on the straw suddenly spoke. The maiden returns. The Sacred Lord descends. Will you not kneel and welcome him? A newborn infant, speaking plain words. What was this, if not a divine sign? The villagers were stunned by this fresh miracle, murmuring nervously amongst themselves. After all, we all lived under the Sacred Lord's eye. The child spoke. How can a babe, not a month-old, speak? Could she truly be the chosen one? Lame Wen and the child must not be burned. What if we anger the Sacred Lord? The whole village would suffer. Aye? Do not burn them! Enraged, Everard shouted. This is demon's work. If we do not burn them, they will curse this village. But the villagers, who had wavered moments before, now threw themselves before me and the child. We were saved. In the storm, the two factions stood opposed, neither yielding. I pondered how to break the stalemate. The widow song collapsed into the mud, her face vacant. The maiden? I've seen the maiden. By the banyan tree at the village entrance? When did you see her? Everard demanded. The night of the 6th, near dusk. By the moonlight, I saw her clear as day. Her face was white as chalk, the very image of the girl the Wen family took in. Everard's eyes filled with scorn. If the maiden has returned, when will she come back? Let us all pay our respects. The widow's song opened her mouth, but no words came. How would a simple woman know the maiden's mind? Maiden, my foot! If she dares return, I'll kill her again myself. As Everard's bluster grew, the river-born child spoke again. In 5 days, the maiden will choose a groom. Then the curse of the 3 taboos may be lifted. Nor can be awaited. The villagers exchanged uneasy glances. They did not fully understand this curse of the 3 taboos, nor how a maiden could choose a groom. Hearing this, I knelt reverently before the child, and intoned with pious fervor, "Your divine will be done." The villagers looked at one another. Better to kneel than not, the thought seemed to pass between them. Half of them followed my lead, kneeling at the river-born child's feet. To prove the truth of my words, I offered to stay in the temple with the child, under the villagers' watchful guard. Everard sneered. It won't take 5 days. Once I go down river and bring back my father's body, your lies will be plain for all to see. No, but the river-born child spoke, her voice oddly measured. The Elderman broke the sacred taboos. He has stirred divine wrath. The anger is not yet spent. No one is to take a boat out for fishing. The villagers lived by fishing the dead. To forbid the river was to cut their very livelihood at the root. Hearing this, Everard laughed, a sound without restraint. Since when is the Sacred Lord's mouthpiece a coward? With that, he led his followers from the temple. I allowed myself a cold smile. Heaven's judgment spares no one. You will see. On the 2nd day of our seclusion in the temple, the curse of the 3 taboos was proven. Old man Shin wept brokenly before the Sacred Lord's statue. Beside him lay the horribly mangled body of a man. I recognized the corpse. It was Chin the 6th, the son old man Chin had at 40. A sickly boy since birth. Chin the 6th had lived on medicine and snake gall, the family's precious jewel. Everard, ignoring the ancestral decree, took a boat to fish, and divine punishment followed. Old man Chin had lost his son in middle age. His grief was total. Please let the river-born child protect us. Lift this curse, the villagers said. Chin the 6th's goatskin raft, while fishing, had strayed into a mudflat. In the blink of an eye, both man and raft were sucked into the mire. When they finally hauled him up, he had no breath left. The mudflat hid a nest of snakes. Chin the 6th's flesh was torn and gnawed by the swarm, down to the bone. Strangely, his heart was gone altogether. After Chin the 6th died, talk of heaven's punishment spread like wildfire. Vowing to find the old Elderman's body, Everard scorned the curse, and stubbornly went back to fish the river. Then the next morning, the butcher, Silas Blackwood, who had returned from fishing, was found dead in his shop, hung up naked, like the pigs he slaughtered, scraped clean, bled and gutted, organs removed, bones picked. Pale dead pigs piled by the riverbank at the village edge. were soaked by the water overnight. The stench of rotting pork spread on the wind, making man and beast alike vomit and purge. The punishment grew heavier. The villagers grew fearful, all hoping the maiden would soon choose her groom and lift a curse. Gradually, Everard lost the people's trust. That day, Old Man Chin brought wine and meat to the temple, speaking for the villagers, asking me and the river-born child to take the Elderman's seat. As we discussed the details of succession, young Milo stumbled into the temple. Bad news! Bull Morgan is dead. Bull Morgan was a bachelor past 50, who'd made his living on the Yellow River most of his life, a master of his craft. He was a man of all vices. He feared no taboo, and for the right price, there was nothing he wouldn't do. Everard had paid him a great sum to go downriver and fish. He was confident, setting his boat out at high noon, thinking he'd be back before dusk. What ghost or demon would dare act up in broad daylight? No one expected that when the goatskin raft drifted back to the village, it carried a body sheathed in a thin layer of frost. Bull Morgan's body was frozen stiff, his kidneys carved out from within. A February day, on the cusp of spring warmth, he wore a thick quilted coat, yet he had frozen to death. If this wasn't divine punishment, what was? I looked at Bull's body and shook my head. At this point, divine wrath was a serious matter. Seeing this, the villagers immediately prepared the succession ceremony for the child, and I was honored by the villagers as the high priest. At the succession ceremony, all the villagers knelt at my feet. May the Elderman take the seat and protect us. May the high priest take the seat, rid us of Everard, and lift the curse. Amid the shouts of the crowd, I got my own finger in the child's. Our blood dripped onto the statue. In the blink of an eye, it was absorbed, clean. 8 golden candlesticks set the temple ablaze with light. Clad in a black ceremonial robe, holding the heaven-sent infant, I looked down upon them all. So this was the taste of power. I raised the river-born child overhead. I proclaimed, "You need only assist in the maiden's nuptial rites. Once completed, the curse will be broken." No massacre. One. Seeing the sacred lore agreed to lift the curse, the villagers knelt and fawned. How gracious! Lame Wen, stop your babbling. Get down from there at once. Amid the peaceful chorus of flattery, the escaped Everard, sickle in hand, kicked over the altar. Every word I speak is true. I swear before the sacred Lord. Now I am the man of greatest authority in the village. Look at Everard. He's just a brute. Chakareo, June. Everard sneered, producing a thin robe, and stepped closer. Your father, Old Wen, performed shadow puppet plays in his youth. He was skilled in ventriloquism. The river-born child cannot speak. You use this trickery to deceive our people. What ventriloquism? I don't know what you're saying. No, sheik. Seeing this, Everard raised his sickle and charged me. Tell the truth now, or I'll cut you down. Lame in my right leg, I was no match for him. I could only scoop up the child and hobble behind the statue. Luckily, 7 or 8 villagers together finally managed to restrain Everard. Even pinned down, Everard thrashed in Cheyenne defiance. Just lock the child and Lame went up separately. That will prove he's a fraud. The atmosphere in the temple grew tense. I could feel their probing stares upon me. They waited for my explanation. Everard has long been possessed. Why does he not repent? The river-born child spoke, and the villagers fell silent at once. The child continued. The missing organs from the bodies are in your backyard. The murder weapon is hidden beneath your bed. You have fallen to evil, harmed your own kin, and still you lie. I took 7 or 8 young villagers and marched Everard to his backyard. The place felt deeply malevolent. Upon entering, the village's big black dog barked furiously. I walked a circle in the yard, then pointed to a flower bed for them to dig. Several strong lads set to work, quickly loosening the earth. Suddenly, someone cried out, God! God! We've dug something up. In the pallid moonlight, a bloody heart. There was no room for denial. Under his bed, they also found a sharp knife, crusted with blood. The evidence was now conclusive. Everard's home was seized. Anything of value was stripped clean. The riverborn child pronounced Everard's fate, cut out his tongue. Keep his body for the maiden's nuptials, to serve as a sacrifice. Just as the crowd was about to disperse, a villager guarding the entrance ran to report. He had truly seen the maiden. The maiden had come ashore from the churning river and buried a wooden placard under the banyan tree. When people rushed there, she was already halfway back into the Yellow River. After only a brief pause, she vanished again into the rolling waters. By the cold, clear moonlight, everyone saw the maiden's face clearly. The timid were scared out of their wits. It was Everard who locked her in the pig cage back then. I was just forced to lend a hand. The maiden won't come for revenge, will she? High Priest, you and Willow grew up together. The maiden's choice, surely. She won't pick you, right? I let out a long sigh. Willow, believe it or not, I truly did love you. No. For the joyous occasion of the maiden's nuptials, the village was decked in red. This was a wedding across the boundary of life and death. Divination decided the grand ceremony would be held at dusk. I awoke from a sleep to find myself seated in a crimson wedding hall, dressed in bright red wedding robes. Giant red dragon and phoenix candles crackled and burned. Behind the candles stood 2 black and white photographs, jarringly out of place in the sea of red. The lovely young woman in one was my long-lost love. I lifted my sleeve to wipe the grime from the other photo. As the dust was cleared away, the figure in it broke me out in a cold sweat. Wasn't the man in the photo me? The man who weds the maiden will die, and she had truly chosen me. In those years, we knew each other so well. She liked to wear one thick, dark braid. Her clothes were always bright colors. Her spirit was bright and bold. When my father and I went out to fish, she tended the fire and cooked, keeping our home in perfect order. The bedding was warm every night. Even my clothes carried the scent of a woman. The night she was chosen as the sacrificial maiden, dressed in precious red bridal clothes, her limbs were broken, and she was locked in a bamboo pig cage and thrown into the raging river. My father and I tried desperately to stop it. One was pinned down and had his legs shattered by the villagers. The other died suddenly on his goatskin raft. The Elderman said it was her fortune to be chosen by the sacred lord. The waves, mixed with silt and bones, drowned her and drowned all the fire in my heart. This memory was a dagger hidden deep within, now driven into my heart with its years of rust. My hands trembled, and I accidentally knocked over a red candle. Suddenly, a hoarse cry came from outside. The bride arrives. A white sedan chair stopped outside the door. The bearers were 4 lifelike paper figures. The heads of the paper men snapped off in unison. As they hit the ground, they burst into greenish flames, and were instantly reduced to 4 piles of ash. The bride descended gracefully. Her wide wedding robes hid her form completely. What face lay beneath that red veil? She took small, minced steps to my side. The guests began to clamor, urging me to bow with the bride at once. The auspicious moment was now. But looking at that bright red veil, I couldn't muster the courage to take her hand. "Big brother, are you still unwilling to marry me?" A familiar voice came from under the veil. "I've been yours for a long time. Can't you let go of those stupid rules?" Memories of our past intimacy surfaced, scattering my thoughts. I only wanted to pull this woman into my arms. My hand had just touched the swell of her bosom, when green flames enveloped the figure before me, burning her to a skeleton. A stark white skull rolled to my feet. Its dark, empty eye sockets stared fixedly at me. That gaze was like a bucket of cold water poured over my head. I awoke with a start. Thank goodness, it was only a dream. I was woken by rain splashing in from the window. It was noisy all around. In the crimson wedding hall, I held the river-born child, sitting on the high dais. The dragon and phoenix candles crackled as they burned. Behind the candles were 2 black and white photographs, jarringly out of place in the sea of red. All of this felt like a dream, yet not. As the bearers outside cried, "The bride arrives!" A white sedan chair stopped at the door. I remembered the scene from my dream. The back of my robe was already soaked through. At the bearer's call, the bride stepped gracefully from the sedan. The groom, Everard, in bright red wedding clothes, was being forced forward to cross the fire basin before the door with the maiden. That's right. Everard was the one the maiden had chosen as her groom. I let out a long breath. A great weight lifted from my heart. Willow, she still cared for me after all. Poor Everard, his tongue freshly cut out. Weak and unable to speak, he trembled all over, looking at me, his eyes brimming with profound hatred. First bow to heaven and earth. First bow! Groom, you must kneel. No matter how the master of ceremonies urged him, Everard remained, unwilling to kneel. 2 groomsmen forced him down, but his spine was hard as steel. Seeing the auspicious moment was about to pass, I took the decorated staff used to lift the veil, and smashed it down hard against his knees. Blood dripped from his trouser legs onto the ground. He finally couldn't hold out, and crumpled to the floor. The Suona horns blared. The master of ceremonies sighed in relief, and so the ceremony continued, hot and noisy. Just as the ceremony was concluding, a cluster of green flames ignited at the feet of the two red-clad newlyweds. In an instant, the maiden was burned to a stark white skeleton. Everard, kneeling, howled in agony, and was soon reduced to a pile of char. The sight of a living man being entombed was too frightening. The wedding hall descended into chaos. I said softly, "All of this is the sacred Lord's will." The villagers, who had been weeping and wailing moments before, fell silent at once. Besides Everard, this village is full of cowards who dare not speak their anger. The crowd hurried away. Finally, there was peace. Gazing at the skeleton on the floor, I couldn't help but speak aloud to myself. There was no method of resurrection. I lied to you. Don't blame me, Willow. This was your fate. You've killed so many for me. Kill one more. Remember back then? It was Everard who pushed you into the Yellow River, to be able to take revenge after death. You should thank me. Anyway, one tends to talk too much when happy. I almost lost this game. Everard guessed correctly. I killed the former Elderman, and the riverborn child speaking before her time was also a lie. I do know ventriloquism, but the story I told wasn't entirely false. On the afternoon of the 7th, the Elderman came to see me, to borrow a memento of the maiden from her life, and to demand I accompany him to fish at Deadman's Bend. I was very cooperative the whole way, but when he saw the maiden's body, the Elderman panicked, because the maiden, who should have been pregnant, had an empty belly. On the night of the 6th, I had already helped the maiden deliver the in-child early, and made a pact with her to kill the Elderman together. After the Elderman died, I returned to the village with the child I'd hidden in advance. Using ventriloquism, I created the miracle of an infant oracle, to bewilder the villagers, and buy time for the maiden. She did not disappoint. The maiden killed Chin the Sixth, Silas Blackwood, and Bull Morgan, throwing the village into a panic. Gradually, the child's words were taken as divine law. Hearts turned to my side. The maiden's nuptials were my means to eliminate both the maiden and Everard at once. A pity. Everard almost uncovered the truth, but he couldn't imagine the dead could return, nor that the maiden retained a human consciousness, willing to heed my commands. His accusation wasn't entirely wrong. His sworn father never told him that a divine artifact was nurtured within the maiden. That artifact was something I once traded my life for. It held a heaven-reaching secret. Late at night, I lit a row of candles in the Sacred Lord's temple. 5 gold-trimmed, flower-painted trays were arranged neatly upon the altar, from left to right. The trays held Everard's tongue, Bull Morgan's kidney, Silas Blackwood's intestines, Chin the Sixth's heart, and the maiden's white bones. These 5 trays corresponded to the 5 torments: tongue-rending, icy grave, gut-spilling, heart-plucking, and fiery pit. Ancient texts say, the superior adept achieves immortality while living. This is the heaven immortal. The middle adept roams famed mountains. This is the earth immortal. The inferior adept dies first, then transcends. This is the corpse immortal. In ancient times, one of the 8 immortals, Iron Crutch Lee, transcended via the corpse method. He endured tongue-rending, icy grave, gut-spilling, heart-plucking, and fiery pit. He washed away the karma of past and future lives, and became a corpse immortal, enjoying eternal life. Kneeling before the Sacred Lord's statue, I prayed with sincere devotion. I begged the Sacred Lord to grant me immortality. On my left lay the corpse of Old Wen. On my right lay the sleeping riverborn child. One was my past life, the other my future life. A great fire ignited outside the door. The temple was engulfed in a sea of flames. A burning beam broke and fell on me, but I felt no pain. My body grew lighter and lighter. Success was at hand. Lying on the floorboards, I laughed aloud. The 5 torments lead to immortality, washing away the mortal shell. After years of planning, I, Old Win, can finally transcend via the corpse method. That strange monk's words were true after all. No wonder the Elderman, years ago, endured the infamy to sacrifice the maiden alive. Truthfully, The one destined to become immortal should have been me. Welcome-Sage Village was named for receiving the sacred lord. 100 years ago, a corpse fisherman pulled a Buddha statue from Deadman's Bend. A golden-bodied Vajra bodhisattva with eyes closed. The statue's form was upright, its bearing solemn, but its eyes were tightly shut. The villagers thought a closed-eye statue was inauspicious and placed it in the ancestral hall's backyard, planning to sell it at the market. Days later, a plague struck the village. Medicine was useless, until someone suggested building a temple for the sacred lord and devoutly offering incense. In less than half a month, the plague was completely eradicated. The village was renamed Welcome-Sage. The temple's incense never ceased. 3 years ago, a strange monk came to the village. Day and night, he knelt in the temple, chanting sutras. The Elderman, moved by his piety, often discussed Buddhist doctrine with him. The monk said, if one could gather the Vajra sacred lord's 8 ritual instruments, the sacred lord could save all beings. The 8 instruments were hard to find, but according to the monk, a golden Vajra was lost in Deadman's Bend. Finding it would be an immeasurable merit. After that, while fishing, I searched carefully, hoping to find the golden Vajra and trade it for a lifetime of wealth and safety. Heaven rewards the determined. I finally found the artifact in a cave downstream from Deadman's Bend. It was a ritual Vajra, a diamond scepter forged of pure gold, inlaid with multicolored gems. Exquisite. Its handle was carved with 8 wrathful, changeable Vajra deities, matching the form of the 8-armed sacred lord. Just as I prepared to take the treasure to the Elderman, I overheard his conspiracy with the monk. The monk said the golden Vajra was not just a sacred instrument. It was the very key for a mortal to attain immortality. Find a maiden whose element was yin. Sacrifice her to the sacred lord. Place the golden Vajra inside her, and make her a yin-wet vessel. Nourished by the woman's yin energy for 3 years, the Vajra would give birth to a yin child capable of 1,000 transformations. With that yin child as one's future life, and a blood relative as one's past life, one could employ the method of the 5 Torments, and borrow the sacred lord's power to transcend via the corpse. At that moment, I was discovered by the Elderman. I cleverly hid the golden Vajra, made up an excuse, and hurried home. This was a treasure that could help a man become immortal. Why trade it for mere wealth? Once home, I told my son about finding the golden Vajra. Wen, to be safe, I said nothing about immortality, but I never could have imagined that the very next day, Willow was chosen as the maiden. I had taken Willow from the orphanage to be Wen's child bride, but that foolish boy only saw her as a sister. Yet he was willing to trade the golden Vajra for her life. The girl was quite likable, but not worth trading the Vajra for. A woman is just a woman. With this, I could find another. As we father and son struggled over the Vajra, the divine artifact actually swapped our 2 souls. From then on, Lame Wen became Old Wen, and Old Wen became Lame Wen. I was on guard day and night, but Lame Wen drugged me and stole the golden Vajra. He gave the artifact to the Elderman, hoping to save Willow's life, but was tricked and killed in the Yellow River. Willow, too, could not escape her fate as the sacrificial maiden. I had my leg broken, but survived by chance. For 3 years, I hid within Lame Wen's body, waiting for my chance. Fortunately, everything proceeded as I had planned. The fire in the temple burned fiercer. Once the flames consumed this mortal shell, I would ascend to immortality, free from all worldly suffering. I seek immortality. All things are ants. All people are pawns. Thick smoke billowed. The fire raged. Villagers outside the temple cried for someone to fight the fire, but none dared approach. Or those cowards screaming about. Truly mere flesh and blood. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced my heart. A bloody claw tore out from my chest. In the smoke was a deathly pale face. Willow, aren't you dead? I looked at the skeleton on the tray and understood. The one who married Everard that day was not Willow at all. Curses. He started suspecting me back then, but it doesn't matter. As long as the mortal shell is finally burned away, I can still become immortal. A breath, and Willow's icy laughter sounded in my ear. Become immortal? You think you're worthy? She rested her head on my shoulder, smiling meaningfully, and dropped a string of prayer beads. As the beads hit the ground, dust and smoke erupted. Thunder rumbled. Lightning split the sky. The Sacred Lord's temple was reduced to scorched earth. My soul was drawn into the body of the Vajra Bodhisattva. My consciousness faded. After the heavenly lightning's baptism, that Vajra Bodhisattva, after a century of tightly shut eyes, actually opened them. It held the gleaming golden Vajra, its expression solemn. I saw the monk from 3 years ago again. He sat cross-legged before the Sacred Lord, softly tapping a wooden fish and murmuring, "All vengeful souls are gathered. Heavenly thunder has cleansed. Your disciple invites the Eight-Path Sacred Lord to descend." What? Sharasara. Looking again at the Bodhisattva, the Sacred Lord glared with furious eyes, an aura of fang, malevolence emanating. With my last breath, I asked, "The Five Torments to Immortality. The corpse method. Was it real?" The monk picked up the prayer beads from the scorched earth, carefully dusting them off. Amitabha. Do not indulge in wishful thinking, benefactor. Seek rebirth soon. The demon monk. Beyond the western regions, there was a Buddhist kingdom, named Khotan. In the year 912, King Visasambhava of Khotan ascended the throne. He was obsessed with Tang dynasty Buddhist culture, called himself a descendant of the Tang, and changed his name to Li Shengtian. Li Shengtian enjoyed supreme prestige in Khotan. His followers called themselves the Sage King's people. Later, Li Shengtian died. The Khotanese people's understanding of Buddhism and war gradually diverged. The once flourishing Sage King's people became a minority faction. In 969, the Sage King's people, taking advantage of Khotan's war with the Karakhanids, fled to the Central Plains with many sutras and Buddhist treasures. The journey was long. Countless treasures and sutras were lost. Followers died or were injured. Only a few hundred finally reached the Central Plains. They hid their identities but actively promoted Buddhism, never giving up the search for the lost treasures and sutras, hoping one day to restore the glory of the Eight-Path Sacred Lord. The monk and I are descendants of Li Shengtian. The Eight-Path Sacred Lord statue and the Golden Vajra are both Buddhist treasures lost by the Sage King's people. 3 years ago, I discovered the Sacred Lord statue in Welcome-Sage Village. I intended to take it by force, but seeing the village's greedy, corrupt nature, and the villagers' extreme avarice, I fabricated a lie about the 5 torments leading to immortality, intending to turn Welcome-Sage Village into a sacrificial ground to welcome the Sacred Lord's descent. Corpse Immortality was false. Inviting the Sacred Lord was true. Perhaps by the Sacred Lord's unseen protection, the ritual proceeded unusually smoothly. The only variable was that rather stubborn maiden. It took much persuasion to coax her into cooperating with me. Knowing she wanted revenge, I gave her 5 thunder beads and used a substitution method to help her fake her death at the wedding. She did not disappoint me. She showed no mercy when summoning the heavenly lightning. Most wonderfully, the 8 vengeful souls used to summon the Sacred Lord perfectly matched the 8 sufferings of our doctrine. Silas Blackwood, for a son to continue his line, drowned countless infant girls. Death for the suffering of birth. Bull Morgan, believing in nourishing yin and yang to prolong life, violated dozens of young widows. Death for the suffering of aging. Chin VI, to cure his illness, indiscriminately killed snakes for their gall, breeding a cruel nature. Death for the suffering of sickness. The Elderman, seeking immortality, sacrificed a maiden, slaughtered villagers. Death for the suffering of death. Everard, to become Elderman, craved status but in the end gained nothing. Death for the suffering of unfulfilled desire. Lamewin died protecting his beloved, but his love was never known. Death for the suffering of parting from the loved. Old Win, from resentment grew hatred, from hatred grew malice, and lost his life to it. Death for the suffering of resentment. The Golden Vajra's transformed river-born child, embodying all resentment and obsession. Death for the suffering of the 5 aggregates. In tiny Welcome-Sage Village, so much evil karma of the 8 sufferings accumulated. Pity our world, so full of sorrow. Only with the Sacred Lord's descent can the 8 sufferings be eradicated, and the true great unity be achieved. Maiden's Epilogue. My name is Willow. I was an orphan. When I was 8, floods swallowed the fields. Famine spread. My aunt threw me into the Yellow River. Mud and sand choked my nose and mouth, filling my belly. For the first time, I knew the feeling of being full. I thought I would die, but I was lucky. A corpse fisherman in a goatskin raft saved me. His wife had died young, leaving a son. After saving me, he took me in, fed me, gave me shelter. I knew he wanted me to be a child bride for his son, Lame Wen. Having starved, I knew how hard it was to have a full belly. The Wen father and son lived well by fishing corpses. Life was comfortable, and they were kind to me, never hitting or scolding. Being Lame Wen's wife would have been my fortune. When I was 15, I tried to become his wife, but he pushed me off the bed. After that, Lame Wen always avoided me, saying he only saw me as a sister. What use is a sister? She can be thrown away anytime. During that time, I often dreamed of being thrown into the icy river again, to avoid being cast out. One night I crept onto Old Wen's bed. Old Wen did not refuse me. After that night, my life was stable again. I thought life could continue like this forever, but I was chosen as the Maiden. Before the sacrifice, I still hoped someone would save me. I hoped and hoped, until the Elderman slit open my belly and stuffed a golden artifact inside. My body died. My heart died. Old people often say death is liberation, but I was not liberated. Icy river water mixed with bones and stones tossed me in Deadman's bend for 3 full years. Inside my belly was something that greedily absorbed my flesh and blood. The pain was too great. After countless long days and nights, Old Wen finally came to save me that night. He said he had a way to resurrect me, but I had to help him kill people. He didn't save me 3 years ago. Why would he resurrect me 3 years later? After sharing a bed for years, I knew too well the cruel cunning beneath his old man's skin. Just as I intended to finish off Old Wen with a claw, a monk stopped me. Maiden, do you wish for revenge? I do. The end. Thank you for your support.